I think there is a little bit of a bug with the lighting at the moment. I'm sort of just looking at my, J29 and zooming in and out of my hangar, and it's just like, what is going on here? There's a giant orb that keeps appearing and then disappearing and then reappearing. So, I don't know, I think the patch is a little broken. G'day, I'm Ash, I hope you're all doing fantastically well. Welcome to 1.95, and today we'll be flying the Dassault Étendard. Basically, it's just, I'm just going to call it the IVM. That's essentially what its nickname is. I can't pronounce that. It's Etendard, doesn't matter. It's my first match on the thing, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this aircraft. But I hope you haven't missed the War Thunder content too much. I do highly recommend that you go check out some of my other non-War Thunder videos, though, if you want to sort of support the channel a little bit. You know, help me develop other content and not just be so reliant on War Thunder. Obviously, I didn't cover the dev server either. Oh well, I guess it doesn't matter now, the patch is live. But we've got this thing, it is fully aced, and it is utterly fantastic. Now, we've just taken off. And this thing accelerates like no other. You put it in a straight line for a while, you'll reach the top speed in no time whatsoever. And obviously it's supposed to be, because it's a carrier-borne strike fighter, so it needs to get up to speed relatively quickly. So it's got this huge engine in the back, and, well, there are so many different versions of it. They built 90 of these. The first flight was in the 21st of May 1958, and the introduction was 1962, and it wasn't retired. This particular model wasn't retired until 1991, so it fits perfectly in War Thunder. And boy, she has an absolutely gorgeous cockpit as well. Just spotted a Vautour, or Vautour, I don't know how to pronounce that one either. So just rolling around, just checking my surroundings. I don't know, those sneaky Vautours come out of nowhere sometimes. They will just shock you. It's quite interesting. Underneath the wings we've got two AIM-9Bs, and while those air-to-air missiles are particularly effective, I guess I was hoping for a little more. Granted, this is a strike fighter and it's meant to be launched off a carrier, so weight is very important. This thing is only 6.1 tons, yet it feels like it's about 90 tons. It's got the same sort of feeling as the Swift F1, but with the flight characteristics of the F7, but without an afterburner. This thing doesn't have an afterburner, so it's not exactly going to accelerate too quickly, but it's enough to get it up to its top speed within about maybe a minute worth of flight time, which I guess is important for, well, you know, a naval strike fighter. I was going to go after that FZ6 that went down there. The Vautour is still over there. You know what, the friendlies are going to deal with that lot, so we're going to go head in, and hopefully we can get a kill on something. Obviously, the aircraft is not the most nimble. As you can see, I'm sort of just testing the limits. Is it going to G-lock? Is it, obviously, you know, I've got basically a stock crew here. The aircraft is fully maxed, but we're going to a dive. We deploy the air brakes. I'm not sure what the top speed. It was like 1100 and something. But again, I'm not sure on the rip speeds. We're going to burn on and put on a missile. Just fire that one. And is he going to maneuver? He says it at the last second, but it's too late. We get him, and there you go. There's an air-to-air kill. Probably should have yelled Fox 1, then Fox 2, and then obviously target confirmed, but that's okay. We're in the French, and they probably go Baguette 1, Baguette 2. Snail 3, although Galzin is a company, so I don't know how that would work. Welcome to the randomness that is my brain. Anyway, we're going to continue on. We've rolled back over, and as you can see, it's really kind of sluggish at that lower sort of speed, especially when you're climbing, so you got to watch out for that. Anyway, we're baking a missile here. Hopefully we get a lock, and obviously the F5 dies before we can get a chance to even hit him. As we're coming across this G91, it is not advisable that you go head-on with any aircraft in this particular one. As you can see, the wings are completely ripped off, but that's only where the fun starts. I've still got elevator and aileron control, and for some reason, this aircraft is still somewhat airborne. Granted, I've got a lot of wing and area space, and only the wing tips have been blown off, so there is a tiny bit of left there. I suppose that's the only thing that's keeping me up. Feasibly, and I should be going into the ground, I should be ejecting, I should be getting out of this aircraft. But that's okay, we're going to turn around slowly, we're going to try and head back to base. Just watch all of the enemies just sort of, wander around, I guess. But, I have to say this aircraft is one ugly duckling. It's ugly, but it's gorgeous. It's what an attacker should be, but it's actually a fighter. It reminds me a lot, if you have a look at a Swift. The Swift is very chubby, very elegant, and very sort of just, I guess it's there. Its presence is well known. This is angular. It's got a meaner sort of look. It's got a very classic, very evocative sort of look. Anyway, we've spotted an opportunity. You see there's a MiG-15 going up there. He's flying directly towards me. Yeah, that I bet was a mistake on his part. Anyway, don't necessarily make it back to the airfield to rearm, but I'm going to show you a clip of the maneuverability of this thing when you're under pressure. I have multiple enemies coming in on me, so let's switch to that clip. Here we are. I am completely tunnel visioned right now. I should have started turning. I should have just gained a bunch of speed and gotten out of there. Instead, I thought I could go after that particular aircraft, that T2. Actually, no, it wasn't a T2, it was a J2. But now, I've got some Swedish boys and some Swedish barrels, as you can see. Sort of just loop around a bunch. It can be maneuverable, depending on what you want to do. And as you can see here, if you can outroll the enemy, that is the perfect way to sort of get them off your six. Regardless, you need to keep the speed up on this thing, so it's a shallow dive, and shortly after this I die anyway, but there was several moments like this in this particular aircraft where you're getting chased by things that can outperform you. Anyway, welcome to Malta. And, because this thing is a naval fighter, it gets a carrier spawn on those that particularly have carriers. Now, it is a little fast on takeoff. It feels like they've accelerated it. But there is a point at which the aircraft nearly, as you can see right there, I had a little bit of lag, nearly basically dips itself in the drink. But that's okay. And as you can see, we're quite a ways away from all the friendlies. The friendlies are all the way over to the left here. And I'm just sort of admiring that carrier. It just makes me reiterate the thought that, okay, we need to have updated carriers for these more, I guess, advanced jets. But again, it's not really on Galgen's priority to increase the size of carriers, is it? Obviously, they're going to have bigger things come to naval, like battleships and stuff within the next year, so I don't know. It's going to be a particularly interesting year next year when we see what kind of content there is to be had. But regardless, one can be wishful. I really want to see bigger carriers because it will be more interesting to land on an actual, better detailed carrier, especially for these faster aircraft. As you can see, the whole entire team is off to the left there, and I'm sort of observing them. This is a good point. I quite like sort of climbing off to the side. It's always a good tactic. It allows me to climb a bunch. There's a friendly Vautour in front. Again, Vautours are out everywhere. Everyone's grinding the new jets and such. As you can see, it is just mixed battles consistently. So as we climb off to the side, I'd like to talk about the loadout that is running. Now, obviously, you can carry snebs and a bunch of other rockets and smaller ordnances, and obviously bombs. But I think the air-to-air, and obviously using air targets with the 30mm Deva cannons, with 150 rounds per gun, is particularly effective. So there is 250 rounds for this particular aircraft. It's a little limiting, but it's again, that's enough to sort of shoot down a couple of aircraft, as well as you've got the air-to-air missiles to complement that. Heaps of people flying the Swedish stuff, and I find that particularly fascinating. Anyway, the engine in this is a turbojet engine with 9,700 pounds of thrust, or 43.16 kilonewtons. Quite a lot, actually. Anyway, we've engaged with this J-29. Hopefully he is going to realise that I'm directly behind him. And that J-29 is not going to get away from me, that's for sure. Anyway, Fox 2. And, well, he doesn't quite catch it. As you saw, the missile didn't actually hit him, but the explosion, I suppose, got him. I don't necessarily know what's up with that. But regardless, it's our first kill of the match. I'm going to continue on. There's another J-29, and it's just easy shooting. You know what they say, shooting fish in a barrel. I mean, it is a flying barrel. That's what that jet is. And there's so many in War Thunder right now. We've got all the premiums, we've got all the top tier variants and versions. Checking my 6 quickly here. Now, am I going to launch on this J-29 or am I going to go guns? Who knows? We could call Fox 4. No, we're going to instead missile him. He pulls away and tries to avoid, but the missile's travelling too fast. That's our second kill. So if we can get a third one, let's get in the mix with those guys down over there. I'm going to pull it into a vertical in a second. And sort of just watch as the aircraft just lurches around. It's just... it's good looking, but at the same time, it's just like, oh... it feels so heavy. It feels like I'm flying a Swift mixed with a MiG-17. And yet, on the contrary, all the pilots were, saying that it was a very highly maneuverable aircraft, which I find quite interesting. Granted, it is a very light fighter as well. I could be the only one here, but I really, really enjoy and admire a French aircraft design. I mean, early stuff is interesting, let's just say the least. Obviously, they had an advantage in World War I and during the interwar period. Obviously, Italy was then obviously the most advanced nation. Into World War II, France had an aviation industry. Obviously, had to rebuild it after the Second World War. As we're entering the Cold War period, they really took off, and the jet, supersonic and transonic, and obviously all the jets that they had produced, by God, they are absolutely gorgeous. And I have to say, I'm looking forward to more additions in the French tech tree. That's for sure. Anyway, this MiG-17 realises that we're here. He has turned directly under us. He might actually hit the tree or the particular beachfront. No, he doesn't. I'm going to loop back over again. Hopefully we can get a beat on this guy. And I really need to upgrade this crew. Oh well, it's here nor there. Roll it back over, try and get my pilot back up. And as you can see, on lower speeds it rolls perfectly. He's gone into the vertical though, which allows me just to sort of plant a few shells into him directly. And that's the end of that. Unfortunately, I have a couple of CL-13 Sabres on my rear, and there is no getting rid of them. Unfortunately, you can't outmaneuver them, you can't outroll them. There are ways you can outsmart them, but unfortunately that's not necessarily the case when you have two of them on your rear. Anyway, we can evade the first one, we'll try and get shots into him. Ultimately, it doesn't necessarily matter. The one on the rear has got me in his clutch, and there you go. Anyway, that is the IVM. I certainly hope you've enjoyed today's video. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.